So the framework that we teach in our course, the framework that I've used in all my consulting engagements that has not failed me is this 5-step framework for pricing. I want to take you through how to do pricing across these 5 steps. The last one, not so much because it's mostly operational and it's about systems, so we'll stick on strategy. But I believe that if you stick to this sequentially, you will find the right pricing. Whether it be a pricing revamp or whether it be a pricing diagnostic that you're doing, you'll be able to figure out where the issue is. Just before I start, I want to mention that pricing, many times in a company, especially like it's a more established company, somebody will say, hey, we have this issue, there's a lot of discounting happening, our pricing is not right. Oh, or this competition is doing something, our pricing is not right. But I would actually say all pricing problems are almost never pricing problems, they're positioning problems, and they're ICP misidentification problems in all consulting engagements I do. So what you can do is, let's say downstream here, you find out, I have a pricing problem. My goal is to make you go upstream and start with goals and segments. So number one is, no, back. Define clearly what is the goal for you. Are you solving a problem? What problem are you trying to solve with pricing? Write that down and make sure your whole executive team is aligned before you start a project. And it depends on which stage your company is into, because by the time a company IPOs, they'll have 7 to 8 large pricing revamps done. And it's an iterative process, but ideally they'll be tweaking every quarter, they'll do some tweaks. So it is important to understand where in the journey are you, because your strategy will depend on your position as a company. Then segmentation. So we had the discussion about ICP. As a product marketer in the Valley across multiple companies, I have the same message. If you get your segmentation right, if you truly understand the customer, then everything flows from there. You can design good packaging, you can design the right metric, you can design the right price point. So really get the goals and segmentation right, define the ICP, write down your ICP. Even if it is a hypothesis, you can always change it. It doesn't have to be a line in concrete, but just have the ICP in mind. Once you have that, then you can design packages that fit to those segments. It's a sort of the analogy I give is, if you're going to buy a car, and I like the BMW brand, you already sort of know, am I going to buy a 5 Series or a 3 Series or a 7 Series, or nowadays we like the Z4. But it's never about, I'm going to go there and now I'm going to figure out what segment I am. Like the customer is not confused about who they are. And so when they see the offer in the market, they need to see, oh yes, this is for me. And this is exactly for me. If that does not happen, what happens? They will come and see the plans. They may say, okay, this sounds like you are selling this to me too cheap. I am an enterprise buyer. I don't take you seriously, which was a discussion that we had earlier. Or it could be a mid-market buyer that says, this is too expensive. Let me severely discount your packages. And then your sales process further goes for a toss. So having segments aligned to packaging is very important. I'll cover this mistake later on in the presentation, but one of the biggest mistakes people do is they are enamored by this concept called good, better, best. And they'll start the pricing by saying, okay, let me create good, better, best and go from there. And have no thought process of all the work they did for segmentation and ICP before. That is not going to help, because then all you're doing is slotting features into your good, better, best tiers, assuming you have a SaaS product and not a different product. But we can discuss other positioning and packaging approaches as well. But when you do that, it will not fit the segment. And if it doesn't fit the segment, you will not know why your pricing is not working, right? So it needs to be custom tailored to the segment. After that, you can do psychological hacks like having a filler package somewhere so that somebody is forced to pick a bigger plan. But first, start with the fundamentals. Once you've figured out the packaging, then you figure out the pricing metric. What is the pricing metric? There is so much debate right now in SaaS about, should you have usage-based pricing? Should you have user-based pricing? What sort of metric do you have? So OpenAI has token-based pricing. Amazon has storage-based pricing. Salesforce has user-based pricing. There is named user licensing. There is concurrent user licensing. You need to figure out what is the right metric that aligns the relationship with you and the buyer, and not be dogmatic about it. I gave an example of a VC earlier, but even I see VCs becoming dogmatic about, 2021, let's all usage-based pricing, then now 2023, no, we're not sure anymore. So it's never what is happening in the market, it's always what is happening in your business. And then, so far I have not discussed price point. Now comes the price point that for the package that you've designed, for the pricing metric associated with that package. Now you choose the price point based on your go-to-market strategy, based on your competitive positioning. You test that out in the market, and then you select the price point that works, right? Now, the example given earlier today was about the price point, but it did not talk about packaging or pricing metric earlier. So if you had not thought about packaging, if you had not thought about the segment, automatically you came to the answer that I am going to give this to you for $20,000. But that was an enterprise buyer. Had you already thought about the segment that you're going to deal with, you would have known that I am going to give them a different package. This is how much these guys generally charge. And I would never have even thought about giving a 20,000 offer, right? So that discussion was about the price point, but I'm showing you the things that are hidden and the conversations that need to happen before that number is even discussed. And then finally, it's operationalization. This may be less relevant for smaller companies, but larger companies, let's say more than 5 million, more than 10 million ARR, definitely like Series B stage, this is a big problem. So even the best laid price of mice and men do not come true if your engineering team asks you to get lost. So you have to instrument, you have to create billing systems, you have to have CPQ, you have to make sure the invoice gets to the customer. And as much as you want to innovate in pricing, that is how much technical debt you take on in operationalization, and you may never be able to do it. So just make sure whatever strategy you come up with, you can actually implement. And the best strategy is not the most effective one sometimes.